Warm welcome to the Ref Show. We don't want to talk about diving, we want to talk about goals. We'd like to talk about a 6-goal thriller. Hull City 3, Crystal Palace 3. Instead, we're leading with an unsavoury incident from that game with our panel, David Hirst and Roger Dilkes. Battle of the beards, dare I say. I'm going to have a false one for the next appearance of you two in the studio.
I'll take it off, honestly.
That would be great to see. But talking of false, the incident of the game, the fake penalty really, and Mike Jones awarded, well, he was duped, wasn't he, Roger? This was by Robert Snodgrass of Hull City, a phantom challenge from Scott Dan. Again, second successive week. Scott, Dele Alli, of course, a week ago, and we got this one this week, just don't want to see it.
No, we don't want that in the game, that's for absolutely sure. But when you look at this incident, Mike Jones had a great position. Scott Dan takes his leg away and Snodgrass dives. He's cheating. He's already on a yellow card. That should have been another yellow card. Hull City are down to 10 men. But that doesn't happen. He gets a penalty and scores from the penalty spot, and therefore Hull are 1-0 up. Totally different game.
Firstly, we keep wringing our hands about this, and nothing ever gets done. I wrote stories 10 years ago about what the FA, were considering retrospective action for cheating. What's stopping it?
Well, I think it's got to be brought in. I mean, it's as simple as that. Like you said, the guy's cheated the referee. We see it week in, week out, unfortunately. We talk about honesty in the game, and that dismisses that idea, So we've seen it before. Players diving in the box, been awarded a penalty. A famous one, Robbie Fowler, a few years ago. Yeah. He jumped up at the time, waved to the referee, no penalty, I dove. Yeah. Is that the way forward? I don't know. Snodgrass comes out and says, there wasn't any contact. I expected contact, it wasn't there, but I still had to go down. The referee gives the penalty. Should Snodgrass have turned around and said, referee, to be fair, he didn't touch me? What does the referee do then?
I think you're believing in Father Christmas there and dressing the parts. Because realistically, players are not going to do that.
I mean, there was a little piece saying that, if he knows it wasn't a penalty, Snodgrass, does he miss the penalty on purpose? No striker's going to do that. No manager's going to thank him for doing that.
It was a great penalty.
It was a good penalty that shouldn't have been, but, it's about winning games.
I think the Scottish Football Association have set the standard, and they are looking at video evidence after games. That is a minimum for me, and the sooner the Football Association in England follows suit with the support of the Premier League, the Football League and the PGMOL, then the better will be.
And also, people who are wrongly cautioned for diving can have those cards rescinded. There is two ways to this.
Works both ways.
Talking of Robert Snodgrass, before we leave the subject of him, he's a well-deserving topic of conversation here. I remember before the playoff final between your former team, Sheffield Wednesday, and Hull City at Wembley at the end of last season, that he made a particular issue in the press that the referee should watch out for Fernando Forestieri because of these alleged diving incidents that he got caught up in very, very harshly at the time. So, there's such a lot of hypocrisy.
It's show, isn't it? Yeah, be careful what you wish for. Yeah. Because it does come back and bite you. And it did. And I understand where he was coming from because Forestieri had been sent off a couple of times that season. He tried to point it out to the referee to gain an advantage. And as it proves, then everybody's trying to gain an advantage, aren't they?
And by the way, congratulations to Hirst Jr., young George, for his Football League debut at the weekend. We'll talk about that in the second half of the show for Sheffield Wednesday. Roger, just before we leave Hull Crystal Palace, an eventful game for Mike Jones. There were other things that went wrong, weren't there, as well?
There was, because following that particular penalty decision, he rightly penalised Hull for the foul on Zaha. Despite the fact, in pundits' terms, it was a soft one, still a penalty. But later on in the same game, Benteke gets tripped by Huddleston, and that one's not given. So overall, I think Mike will probably be looking at the video, hopefully getting some support from the coaching staff to look at areas where he can improve on that performance, because he's been refereeing quite well recently. And I think he'll be disappointed when he looks at that from the weekend.
But he's balanced it up, and then obviously the third one, does he want to offset the balance again? And does that come into play?
I don't think it does, David, and I think that you know, the third penalty was quite clear. It was a trick.
Definitely.
It was you know, one of them that you need to get.
A footnote.
Sorry, Al, but this is where I think the technology that we have in the game
should
be used.
Yes.
Without a doubt. Yes. Referees will make mistakes. Let's help them clear the mistake up.
Fair point. Footnote on the diving. We said once it was foreign players. Well, they may have brought the culture in, but Dele Alli is an England player and Robert Snodgrass has played for Scotland. So home nations players can hold their heads in shame. It's still foreign with Scottish, yes. Just breezing through a few incidentals, as it were. Incidentals are good because referees have done well. Martin Atkinson, there were a lot of good performances. Martin Atkinson, a high-scoring game again. Burnley 3, Bournemouth 2. Only one thing here, Bournemouth scored in stoppage time at the end of the first half. It was 1 minute shown. 15 seconds after that came the goal for Bournemouth. Sean Dyche, the Burnley manager, stomped to the dressing room in anger, but there's a simple point to make here.
Absolutely. The referee is the sole arbiter of time. And when Atkinson feels that he's played the appropriate time, he blows his whistle. It doesn't matter what Sean Dyche says. That's the end of it.
It's a minimum of 1 minute.
That's what the board indicates. A minimum of whatever it says.
And
so Fergie time's a myth then? Is
That's another story.
It's another one. But there can be extra time in extra time, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
It's the discretion of the referee. But by the way, Sean Dyche is appreciated by the URF panel as a fountain of common sense normally, and somebody that we don't normally take to task. No. Craig Pawson, Swansea 3, Sunderland 0. Another good performance from the Sheffield official.
Good penalty decision.
Yeah.
You know, unnatural movement of the arm, and Craig got it. I know David Moyes was a bit unhappy with that particular incident, but I think we felt it was sound.
Poor field markings, I've got a note here. One or two people feeling the lines were a bit indistinct and unclear.
Yeah,
there.
and I can understand why on television. But I think the torrential rain at Swansea didn't help. Perhaps they might have remarked them at half-time, which is what normally happens.
But they normally remain clear, despite torrential rain. So what's going on there?
I'm not sure. I'm not
used
sure.
Invisible ink or something?
Well, it might have been not waterproof.
Right. Arsenal 3, Stoke 1. Everybody's talking about Stoke's goal, which proved incidental in the end, but it was a penalty early on. And there's quite a bit of difference opinion now. There's one or two people at the game said, it was only a coming together and a soft penalty. But when you slow it down, and this was Granit Xhaka who gave the penalty away, there's a clear elbow there, and Lee Mason's pointed to the spot. That's correct. What hasn't he done that he should have done?
Well, I think that the penalty decision is absolutely sound. There's no two ways about that. But when you watch this particular incident carefully, you see Xhaka move his arm from his side up into the front of him, and then he leads with his elbow and he catches Allen at the side of his head. Now, in any other situation, if that were to happen, you'd be talking about a red card. So I believe that he was exceptionally lucky on Saturday not to get a red card for that.
It can't be a retrospective because the referee's seen it. That's the reason he's given the penalty. So if he's seen that for the penalty, which might have been hard to spot real time, why hasn't he shown there?
I had a scoreline app on my phone. I was at the Reading game and I looked at that. And actually on the phone it said he'd sent the player off. Did it? On the phone it said player sent off, Xhaka. You know, but obviously they got it right, and the referee at the game didn't.
That's a worse mistake.
But I mean, it was a crazy one. But again, I touch on it again, the technology.
Yeah. In fairness,
let the referee see that slow mo, and then he knows. I'm sorry, mate, you've got to go.
In deference to Lee Mason, what a great advantage for Arsenal's third goal in that game.
Yeah. It was a great advantage. He waited, he had a good look, and so forth. I think the other thing is that in that same incident, Charlie Adams was chasing the ball back, and it appeared that he studded Sanchez, who was on the floor. Now, the Football Association might want to have a look at that one.
Watch out, Charlie Adam. Watch out for part 2 of the Ref Show, which includes a lot of championship action and some referees in the Premier League doing very well. One in particular with a masterclass. Do rejoin us.